Hello and welcome. This is Admiral's Academia. I'm Admiral Cash. Most folks just call me Admiral. If you're here, please let me know in chat right here in Twitch. You can also, throughout the class, tag me through either Twitch or our Discord for the Kingdom of the Nine Blades. For credit, please sign in for the Discord of the Kingdom of the Nine Blades again. Yeah, so this is pumpkin carving. So we're going to start in just a sec, just making sure that everything is good tech-wise. If you can see me okay, if you can hear me okay, please let me know, and we will start. Again, just a regular housekeeping. We have a 10-second delay, so anything that you do type in either place, I will see it 10 seconds, or 20 seconds? 20 seconds after you type it. Feel free to ask questions at any point during this class. We'll be going section by section, and I will stop after every section and ask if folks want anything repeated, rephrased, anything like that. So just let me know what you need. All good. Okay, so I think we are good to go. So let's start. Okay, first and foremost, the most important part about pumpkin carving is picking your pumpkin. So things to consider. Most often than not, when you go out and you get pumpkins, they're not going to be pristine and clean. So keep that in your mind when bringing those pumpkins home. Figure that if you're driving, you might want to bring some paper towels with you, or maybe just a bag or something. Also understand that you might want to have either, if you don't have anyone with you, right? If you don't have somebody hold it in the back seat or something like that, make sure that you bring something like towels or something that you can prop around it so that it's not rolling uncontrollably in your back seat, because that will break the stem off. From experience, it will break the stem off because they do roll around pretty bad. So just prep for what you're going to get in for that sort of thing. Other than that, when you are moving the pumpkin around, you're picking things, you're bringing home with you. Again, just remember that the stem is extremely fragile. So when you're carrying it around, carry it and support it from the bottom, right? You want to hold it underneath. You don't want to just carry it from the stem. If you're just carrying it from the stem will snap. So super important. Fun tip. You will also probably notice at this point, these are not real pumpkins, but they are actually carvable pumpkins. They are synthetic, but they carve just like pumpkins do. Probably wondering, why is that for somebody teaching a pumpkin carving class? One of those weird facts, I'm actually super allergic to pumpkin innards, even though I love carving pumpkins so much. So I have to actually wear gloves up to my elbows so that I can actually carve pumpkins. So if you have a skin allergy to pumpkin innards, those work really, really well. So just know that it is possible to still be able to carve actual pumpkins. There are ways. So definitely those are gloves that you wash dishes with, so you can find them in most grocery stores and things like that. But also, honestly, if just pumpkin innards gross you out and stuff like that, and you don't like the texture and the feel, some people love it for some reason. That has never been the case for me. But if that's something that's ew and gross for you, you don't have to be allergic to use those. Those are great, just across the board. So definitely a random fun tip for you there. Yeah. So other than that, when you are picking your pumpkin, again, other things to consider, know ahead of time what image you're going to be putting on your pumpkin, because that will affect the type of pumpkin that you're getting, the size and the shape. So for instance, if I was to do this pattern here, right, something if I were to get a pumpkin like this size, this would not have worked. I would not physically be able to fit this on my pumpkin. Especially if you're getting if you're using a store-bought preset pattern, I would suggest, honestly, pick it out ahead of time and bring it with you. If you're going to a grocery store to pick up your pumpkin, or you're going to an actual patch or something like that, you can just bring that piece of paper with you, honestly. And you can actually fit it up against the pumpkins and see what actually fits. Some other things to consider. So again, the shape, size, you're going to make sure that it's going to fit the full thing. Other than that, you're going to want like the flat surface as possible. Pumpkins have all these ridges on them, and the more indentated, the more indentations there are on it, the harder it is to make, especially like precision cuts and things like that. So the flatter you can get it, that's going to be like the best prime pumpkin you can get. It's going to be one that's usually, honestly, that looks just like this, right? It's tall, it's got a good width, but is fairly flat on one side. So this is your standard. This is basically just like, this fits most patterns that you'll find on store-bought things. But as you notice, right, this is my own design. This is actually my Phoenix design. So you do not need to use the store-bought, pre-bought image. You can print them out online. There's a bunch that are actually available online, but you can also use different images and things like that. You can make your own. It's up to you. So if that's not your thing and you want something that's a predetermined preset pattern, again, grocery stores, things like that, will have patterns that you can purchase. And they'll come in all types and different difficulties as well. Let's see those, right? Pretty basic stuff. And then you'll actually use them, right? They're actual patterns that you can use on your pumpkins. Right. And some things you're going to get, like, different themes and stuff, right? Pirates of the Caribbean. I know, shocking for me. Just come out. Random patterns. So again, that's totally optional. Or you could do something like this, where it's super, super simple, basic, where, you know, you are actually even freehanding it. Just triangles. Simple. I will say that these two were done by Wunjo. I did not do these ones. That one's mine. Okay, so one other thing to consider when you are picking your pumpkin, inspect the pumpkin. Remember that they are actual grown things, that they can rot. So check for soft spots. Check for mold, even, like if you see black spots, splotches and stuff. Sometimes it'll just be dirt and you can just, you know, wipe it off. But some of it will be like rot. So make sure that that you are actually looking over the full thing, especially look in the bottom. A lot of people don't look at the bottom, but a lot of times that can be all sorts of just moldy, rotted ick. So make sure that you're actually checking those through, because especially if there's a soft spot, the whole thing will go. It will like cave in as you're working on it. Again, from personal experience, these things do happen, so just sort of a caution thing. And as usual, as normally with all of my classes, feel free to drink along. Remember to keep hydrated. Hydration is key to everything. Does anyone have any questions on anything having to do with picking your pumpkin? Otherwise, we will move on to the next section. This is going to be a pretty simple, short for me class. So by all means, at any point, please ask any questions you have. Again, if you have questions, just because chat can get filled up at times, please tag me. I'd super appreciate it. And again, you have the options of Twitch chat or in the featured park section of the Kingdom of the Nine Blades Discord. So either one, and it's all good. Okay. let's move on then. Okay, preparing your pumpkin. It makes a gooey mess when you are carving pumpkins, as I'm sure most of you know. Make sure that you put something down under the area that you're doing it. It might be newspapers, it might be like garbage bags that you like cut up so they're nice and flat. Also have a garbage can with you, some sort of pail or bag or something that you can just throw guts in as you're going. It will help with cleanup later if you kind of just go along the way. Just helps. Also, know ahead of time whether or not you want to do anything with the pumpkin seeds. Some folks like to cook up the pumpkin seeds, so that's something that you don't want to throw everything out and be like, do I want to make some pumpkin seeds? Oh, they're all in the trash. Well then, if you know ahead of time, you can pick those out. It is time consuming, however, so know what you're getting into before you start doing the thing. But otherwise, you can just gut it and chuck it. Other things to keep in mind while you are gutting your pumpkin. There are things like scoops that are really helpful. Specifically, ones that have this nice serrated edge can really help with getting it really clean. And again, right, what you're gonna do is see, I technically put this in a different section, but we're gonna go over in this one because it's gonna be relevant here. When you are about to gut your pumpkin, you need to cut the top off, or else there's no way to get in to gut it. So, things to keep in mind. If you cut straight up and down, this will fall directly through the bottom. It'll go, because there's nothing to hold it. So you want to cut at an angle as you're going, right? You can see there how it's at an angle. So every one of these edges is at an angle, right? See that? Looking too. See that is at an angle. That way, when you shut it, it will stay. You'll have a nice, good seal, and you won't lose your top. You want to make sure also that it's large enough that you can fit your hand into, because you're going to be going in and out excessively throughout this entire process, not just for gutting, for when you're carving as well. So you want to make sure that it's a good size for you to be getting in and out of. You also want to make sure that it's not too big, because if you end up cutting into like here, you could end up cutting up some good carving real estate for your image. So you don't want to cut into any area that will affect your image. But again, large enough that you can get in and out pretty easily. So, right, and then you're gonna get your little scooper tool, right, and you're gonna just scoop out the edges. You're gonna scoop out the bottom. You're gonna get all of that, the really wet, gooey bits out. But other than that, in what really comes in handy with this, the surface that you are going to be carving, you want to get that thinner, maybe like about this. You don't want to go too small. But basically, you want it to be a nice, clean edge. That's the biggest thing. You want it to be even. You want it to be clean. If it's covered in that like gooey, stringy stuff, you're gonna get issues with the actual carving as you're going, and it's not going to be something that you can clean off afterwards, or you could punch through your pumpkin. Right? You don't want to chance any of this getting pushed through as you're going. So it's going to be important. That's the first thing, that it's done right off the bat and it's nice and clean. So again, you're just gonna scrape it. You're gonna use that serrated edge. So these are really, really good for that. Okay. Okay. Now, dealing with your image. So we briefly went over picking your image, right? You can go online. There's lots of free patterns online. You can purchase, the books that are at grocery stores and stuff. I will say the one benefit to getting the ones that you see at like a grocery store, like things like that. Also, I'm sure you can get them on like Amazon or whatever. They come with all of the pumpkin carving tools. So everything that you would need to get those working for you will be along in there as a set. It will literally, you can see where this one was. I literally only bought this for the tools so that I could show you the tools for this class, because I have like this big bag of tools and I can't find them right now and it's driving me nuts. But yeah, so they have everything right there. So we'll also go over all of those tools in just a sec. Also, sorry I didn't pause after that last one. If anyone has any questions on preparation, again, please just type those in either chats, either our Discord or our Twitch here. Also, if you're here, please just say hi. I'd love to see who all's here. Just a quick hello. And also, thank you for coming. Super appreciate this. Okay, so image. So you've now picked your image. You know exactly what you're going to carve. Now what? Make sure that the pumpkin is dry. Throughout the process of gutting and stuff, it might get a little wet on the outside. If you're bringing it in from outside, right, it might have dew on it. It might be wet for all sorts of reasons, if you're washing it down or whatever. So you just want to make sure that before you start doing your image transfer, that you're just going to dry off the whole pumpkin. Just make sure it's nice and dry. Or the tape will not stick. Again, personal experience. So just dry that off. Then you're going to get your image, whatever one that may be. I'm just going to use this one for example. Now, these do not lay particularly well on these. So, what you can do is get yourself a pair of scissors, and you're going to make cuts into it. You're going to do so at an angle, so it's going to be like this. Just going around. Again, you don't want to actually get into your image. I'm actually going to cut this one. Let's see. Just going around, making cuts. Just going around. Just as an angle. So on and so forth. So what this will do as you're going, you can curve the paper to fit your pumpkin far more nicely. So that way it'll lay pretty decently flat on there. So once after you've done your cutting, right, you're going to get just even like Scotch tape will work. And you're just going to tape it down. Easy peasy. Okay, so there you go. You have your image. You know what you're going to do. You've cut up a pattern. Now what? How does one transfer this onto that? What you're going to do is get this tool here, which is a punch. And what you are going to do is, while this is on your pumpkin, nicely taped, you are going to get your punch, and you are going to punch out holes as you go. You're going to go on the line, and you go the whole thing. Right? Let's see there. Just gonna go along that edge there. You're gonna do that for the entire thing. Just the whole thing. Every little bit. And you're gonna go along all of that. So basically, you're gonna be poking out the lines of this entire piece. This is one of the most time-consuming aspects of this, but it is well worth it, I assure you. Now, the one thing on this, if you do not have the holes close enough, it can be a little hard to see. So you're going to want to, like, I'm going to say it's personal preference. If you're doing something that's, like, super basic, where it's like, yeah, there it goes. Something like this, you don't need to be going tiny little, like, right, super close, right? You can do things that are more spread out like that. But if you're going to be doing something where it's got a lot of tiny detail, right? Things like this section here, right? All of that, you're going to want to get a little closer between the dots, just so that you can see that line more pronounced. You can go so far as literally having them right next to each other where you're pretty much making a line. But that is, again, this personal preference. That's completely up to you. But again, you're going to use this. The one good thing is that it has these little flat pieces here. That's basically so that you're not going too far into your pumpkin. There are other ones also where my cat Trey is meowing. Hi, buddy. Did you bring me a toy? That's very considerate of you. Wanna come up? Hi. Come on. Hi, buddy. This is my cat Trey. Hi. Hi. Oh, hi, buddy. Sorry about that. Okay. And it's always great to have helpers and emotional support while you are doing this long, lengthy process. Be cautious of your pets, though, also, because they like to dive into your projects at times, especially if you have a bunch of newspaper down and random pumpkin guts. They'll just run across the room and they go straight through it. Not that anyone has ever done that. He's totally done that. Okay, so we've done the poke transfer. Everything's on there now. Oh, you're so cute and distracting. Oh, goodness. So once that's completely done, that's when you can take this paper off. You're not going to be carving with this on there, so you're going to want to take that off. Again, right, it's just Scotch tape, so you can easily peel that off. And in theory, your whole design should be on there once you pull that off. Okay, does anyone have any questions on the image itself? Picking your image, transferring your image, anything like that. Otherwise, we will move on to the last bit, which is the actual carving. Again, feel free to message through the Twitch chat or the Discord. I'm monitoring both of these. And remember to drink along. Hydration. Okay. Looks good. Okay. So, now we're at the carving part. So let's go over tools and techniques. So, you tend to have a couple of different sizes of saws that will come in kits like this, right? You've got your bigger one that's going to be for larger sections that you want to cut out, but primarily this one you're going to use for most things, just for scale, right? It's a rather small blade. The smaller the detail, the smaller the blade you're going to want to use. I know that might seem like common sense, but I have seen a lot of folks that will take this big honkin' one and try to do the smaller details and then get really frustrated when it doesn't work out and they don't understand quite what went wrong. It's because it's too big. So remember that you can always do cleanup and stuff like that. You can get things that have bigger if you're having issues, but other than that, this really can do pretty much everything. One thing to note, you can see sort of, again, to scale, the length of the blade, right? This is a good gauge for the thickness of the wall for your pumpkin when you're carving it. If it's thicker than this is not going to punch all the way through, right? So you want to make sure that you have some extra room to make sure that it's making a full puncture, right? So figure you want to be about here, right? So it shouldn't really, right, put your finger there. Your pumpkin wall really shouldn't be thicker than that, basically, if you want to sort of gauge things. Right, and again, you can get that down with your scoop, right? Your serrated edge scoop. That will definitely help for that. Okay, so when you are doing a pattern, it will usually tell you what parts you're cutting out and what parts are staying on the pumpkin. So in most patterns, the dark spot is what's getting removed. That's going to be gone. So everything that you see that's in that lighter color will be on the pumpkin. So that will still remain. If you are doing your own image or you're just picking something online, right, make sure you know which section is being cut out and which one is not, right? For this particular image, right, I only have the line work here, so it's going to be all of this section here, right? And what you can do is you can just draw that in for yourself if you need like a guide as you're going. Just have a copy of it and just, right, just for your own personal reference. If you're really getting into it and you're getting lost and confused as you go, you can just color that in as you're going. Other than that, when you are doing pretty much any pattern, really, start from the center and work your way out. If you start on the outsides with your detail and go in, it will make this wall really fragile. So if you, like, oh gosh, especially look at this. This is what we call a dangerous pattern. It's a high risk pattern because the connection points are very small. So right up here is the only thing connecting this image on the top. Just that, nothing else. So if this isn't secure, if that isn't a solid thing holding, the whole thing will collapse in. So if I were to start on these outside bits, right, if I cut away all of this and then try to do these, I'm going to push the whole thing through the center. The whole thing will collapse in. And that is the opposite of what you want. It will absolutely destroy the piece. So you're going to want to start with the smallest, most detailed things. The neat thing also with patterns like this, they will be numbered, right? A little hard to see, but the eyes are listed number 1, right? The center smaller holes are 2, right? And then again 2s, and then the last thing, right, the 3 is going to be your larger, bigger sections there. So not all patterns will have this, right? If you're doing your own thing, you're on your own. You got to figure that out yourself, right? But like for me, right, like I started here. I got all of these little spinal bits done first, and then went to here, right? I didn't do these exteriors until the very last bit, right? So I went here and then went out. It's going to be very, very important because, again, right, your connection points, the whole thing will cave in, and it is demoralizing when you work on a pumpkin for like 3 hours straight, and all of a sudden the whole thing goes. Again, personal experience. Learn from my mistakes, folks. so many lost pumpkins through many years. You can do it. It's gonna be okay. I will say, if this does happen to you, if the whole thing goes kersploot at the very end, one trick that I learned that can kind of save it if you don't want to just give up on it. Particularly if like the whole thing's already done and you've just messed up right at the end. You can get things like toothpicks or wire, something like that, and basically pin it in place, right? You just go through the back and you get it and stick it in and make sure that, right, if everything's lined up, and you can kind of just stick it in and you can save the piece that way. So at least you can still, you know, still light it up, still have it on your porch during Halloween. It's not gonna look amazing, but it will be functional. And if you do it well enough, folks might not even know, quite honestly. It can, if you line it up good enough and you get it in a good pin, it can look pretty solid. But yeah, just little tricks. Doop doop doop. Other than that, when you are carving also, it's going to be important that you do, that you're carving at an angle. I think it's like 90 degrees they suggest. Basically, so when you're going in, if you go too far like the opposite direction, the light won't show through very well. It'll be too far like that, and instead of having, you know, that much for the light to come through, you'll have that much and you'll pinch it out, right? That's when you see like way too much of the inside, and again the light won't show through, right? You want to make sure that, you know, you've got good clean open holes so that, you know, you can actually see the image, right? You're putting so much time and effort into a thing, you want to make sure that it's actually visible, you can see it. So it's bouncing. We'll go over lighting too. So just like you're gonna do an angle like that, you're gonna go in the opposite direction, right? Do the opposite that you did with the lid. You're gonna do in the opposite direction so it's gonna be more open as you're going, right? And you're gonna do that for every edge. Something else you can do is as you're going, right? You can feed it out the back. If you're having a really hard issue with that, right, you can push through for the front, right? You can use different things. If you have like a smaller thing, you can even use this to just punch it through. And then again, right, as you're gonna go, you're gonna get the excess cutting bits, and you're gonna chuck them as you're gonna go. Just keep things clean as you're going. Just right. Let's see what else there is. Doop doop doop. Spooky. As you're going, it might be hard to know where the light source is, how it's gonna show through and stuff. And what you can do is get a flashlight as you're going. You can even use your phone, right? You can use the light on your phone as you're going, and great. So, light up. As you're going, you can use your flashlight as a guide just to see if, you know, if the light's coming out okay. That way you don't have to constantly turning off the light and putting your light source in the bottom, right? Because that's not going to work very well as you're carving it. So you can use just a quick guide for a flashlight. That'll just help you be able to see it better as you're going. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, also, for things like this, when you do have these large open sections, subdivide them. Don't try to cut out this whole thing and push the whole thing through, because again, right, that's going to put pressure on your connection points. So what you do is you section it off. So I would go to like here, right? I'd cut all of this and just cut a line to here, and then I'd punch this through. Then I would cut to here and punch it through. Again, here, punch it through, here, punch through, here, punch through, and go over and subdivide it into smaller sections, right? You just want to be super, super careful on your connection points, because any type of too much pressure, right, and you're going to risk that buckling in those points. So you're going to just break those into smaller sections, because it's not going to specifically tell you to do that. So it will be better if you sort of just a trick you can do, a little tip to help with that. Okay, so just a couple more things before we end stuff. Again, if you have any questions up until this point, please let me know. Again, we've got the Twitch chat, we've got the Discord chat. I'm watching both, so please, by all means, if you have any questions, let me know. We're going to go into just a couple last things. Fairly quick, easy, simple class today. Lighting. How are you going to light this? Because the whole entire point is to light this thing, right? These are basically lanterns. There are some options that you can use. Some people use candles, real actual candles with flame. I would suggest highly not to do this. Especially if you've got like a smaller pumpkin, you will notice that it will actually have burn marks in the top. It can be, anytime you have fire, it's a risk. It's an unnecessary risk, honestly. Especially if you are not going to be monitoring the pumpkin. You want to make sure that it can be by itself and it will not be at risk. So what you can do is use things that produce artificial flame-like effects. This is a standard tea light, but it is battery powered. The cool thing with these, I don't know if you can see it, but they flicker. Right? You see that? So basically, you'll get the same effect as a flame does, right? That sort of, that flickering effect, but you can do so artificially. You can do so, right? Also, it's wet and gross and gooey inside of those things. So these can be easily cleaned, right? And also, they're super cheap. So if they get really gross or the battery dies or whatever, you can check them. They usually come in packs that are like giant. You're not going to need all of them. So I would definitely go for something like that. Otherwise, if you really want to go really light that thing up, there are puck lights. I usually use just the tea lights, honestly. And for something like that's bigger, I'll use like a couple of them, right? I'll get more than one and stick them in there. This one has a balloon over it right now, specifically just for this class to give it more of a orange amber glow to it. Ooh, magic. But it's actually a puck in there. I don't know if you can actually see that. Right, it's a tap light, right? It's just a tap light. So again, right, you just stick that right inside. Boop. Now, if you want to actually literally do this, you wrap it around the puck light, blow it up, tie it off. You can still, push it to turn it off, but it does give that more orange look versus that really bright white light. Again, right, it's aesthetics thing. These ones also have it. Oh, these ones don't even have, you don't even have to blow them up. Right, you can literally just stick it over, but you can see that it's just a tap light. That's it. Nice and simple. Right, grab it, make sure that it's facing upwards. I'll just stick it in. Easy peasy. There we go. Okay. The only other tips and suggestions I got left is, just as we were saying before, that, these are actual living, growing things. If you carve your pumpkin too early in the season, it will most likely be really soft and not keep well by the end of the season. So just be sort of cautious of that. Be cautious of really warm weather and things like that. Getting closer to the date. Try to keep it in a cool location, right? Think of it as you would handle any other sort of like fruit or vegetable, right? You can even, like, if you've got a whole bunch of room, I mean, you can literally keep them in your fridge for a bit. But other than that, right, you can keep them just outside in the cold once you get into this autumn time period, depending on what your location is, right? For folks that are in the south, it can get very, very warm and muggy and all sorts of things that do not bode well, particularly for pumpkins. So for something like that, you're going to want to wait a little bit closer to the time period of which you're going to be doing the thing. Otherwise, you're going to want to get them and keep them in a cool location as much as possible, leading up to when you're going to be carving, or even at that point displaying your pumpkins. Weird location thing also to consider. Know your neighborhood. If you have a lot of rowdy teens that tend to smash pumpkins, make sure that your pumpkin is not in a location that they can easily get to them, or they will eliminate your pumpkin early off in the season. Again, personal experience. Fortunately, not from here, but when I used to live in the States, that was a thing that growing up would be a thing. It wasn't so much in my later years down there, but I remember being a kid and making pumpkins, and we would end up carving multiple pumpkins every year because the teens would come into our yard and smash them, and it was for a 6-year-old, that's really, really unfortunate and hurts a lot. So please don't smash people's pumpkins, and make sure that you're defending your pumpkin and making sure that it's in a location that is safest. Yeah, but like if you keep it near the road, and it's nowhere near your door, or even on like if you have like a little we always used to keep ours on the deck after that, where like you'd have to get over a fence, you'd have to get over this railing and then get onto the table, and like we had this giant window where we could actually see the pumpkins from, so we'd be watching you do it. My dad would chase them out, so yeah, that wouldn't work so well for them. But yeah, just a weird random tip. May not apply to you whatsoever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. Again, if anyone has any last minute questions, please let me know. In either location, either the Twitch chat here or on our Nine Blades Discord. Again, remember, if you would like a credit for this class, please head on to the Kingdom of the Nine Blades Discord, and you can use the amped bot like we do across the game. They do work across kingdoms, so if you do have the amped bot in your kingdom's Discord, it will work on ours as well. Okay. Oh, sorry, tradition. The 20-second delay silly dance. And ending with the jazz hands, as is tradition. Okay, I think that is about it. If at some point after this class you do have questions, feel free to message me. I'm Amy Salvador on Facebook, Admiral and Cash on Discord. Yeah, so by all means, shoot me a message if you need anything. Thank you so very much for coming to this class. Again, this has been Admiral's Academia Pumpkin Carving class, and I'm the Admiral. So, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for all those that will be watching this in the future. I super appreciate it. Other than that, we are done for today. Stay safe. Take care of one another. Have yourself